Gee, thank you. We'll start off with any disclosures of pecuniary interest. Hearing none, declare that closed. Okay, we've got to go into closed session, so we'll move into closed. I need a mover, Councillor O'Neill. Chuck, move into closed session. Chuck moves, seconded by Ted. Thank you. Any questions or all in favor? Approval of the minutes. Minutes of the Quinte West Police Service Board meeting held on November 27th, 2023 be approved. We were in a seconder for that, please. Sheila moves, seconded by, need a seconder. Ted, or Chuck, sorry, looking at Ted and calling him Chuck. Okay, any questions or comments? All in favor? Carried, thank you. Okay. We're now on to you, Inspector again, and thank you very much for inviting Staff Sergeant Allenburn here today. And I have a certificate for him as well. So throughout your 9 years with Quinte West MPP, you demonstrated sergeant and acting staff sergeant. We commend you for the strong partnerships you have made and your commitment to the safety of our community. We offer our sincere best wishes to you. Appreciate, all the work you do and all the work that's being done every day, because I'm very fortunate. I see officers at different locations. I really appreciate that, because any other comments from anybody regarding okay, just regarding Al and this promotion, and you've been around a long time, some of you guys. Right, sitting up here, Chuck. You and Ted are becoming ancient. No, you're getting more mature, right? Okay.
Ted? Just one comment, if I may. Congratulations. It's great to see people that are moving on to bigger and better things, I guess, and you've served us well, so congratulations and all the best in the future.
Anyways, as I said, Friday night at the hockey game, we had officers come and visit the hockey game, and I'm always proud to see them because I think they help establish a tone that we need in every activity. And same on Saturday night, I was in Frankfurt at the Huskies game, and again, officers come in there, and it's great because people see them, people get a chance to talk to them, chat with them, ask them questions, and I do too. So it's great to be there, and it's great to see the support, because not that we need it, it just makes a difference. It makes a real difference all the time. So again, thank you very much. Appreciate that. Okay, Bill isn't here. I think I'm not sure everybody knows, but community policing will cease as of the 30th of April. As of Bill is no longer wanting to carry on, and he doesn't have any other replacements. So I have, at this time, I did ask, he did speak with Inspector, and I also have spoken to Bob Mitz, the kinsman, hoping that they may take on some of the activities that community policing did, such as the bike rodeo and visiting schools with, but in conjunction with our detachment and detachment commander, so that everything carries on. That's my goal, and we'll see what happens. I haven't got a response at this time, so go ahead, Councilor. Councilor O'Neill.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So the building they're in, the city owns, is that correct?
Yes, that is our building, yes.
So is there any plans for that building? Because I hear the DBA is looking for a spot that we could maybe rent to them, or has anything been thought about that way?
Yeah, Director Grimman is dealing with it right now, so.
Awesome. Thank you.
We'll get a report from her. Yeah, sorry. Okay. But there is definitely that's a large building, and we may have to do a bit of modification in it so that there's still space for us as well as the DBIA. Okay. Anything else? Anything else? Otherwise, we'll move on. Okay. Any public input today? Yvonne, are you on? No. Okay, all right. We'll go on to Inspector then, please.
Thank you, Your Worship. Being as it's only in January, I don't have any stats from this year yet. We would be nowhere near close to accurate, but I did manage to get the annual report for last year. So that's the one that's before you. This is essentially just an amalgamation of all of the previous stats that were given throughout 2023, but some information about kind of where we were and the information that we have at year end to look forward with our action planning and our goals. We do have 2 sergeant openings at this moment. Sergeant Leslie Wiley is officially retired as of January 31st, and Sergeant Ella Byrne has moved to Lennox and Addington in his new role. So we're posting those 2 positions, and I'm hoping that by spring I'll have 2 newly minted sergeants in those positions to round out our group. Staff Sergeant Doolin has gone down to do an acting detachment commander role in Prince Edward County. At this moment, he's only there for 4 weeks, but I expect it'll likely be extended slightly longer than that. So I have Acting Staff Sergeant Sean Trudeau, who's in my detachment filling his spot. He comes to us from in-service training, so he's a trainer, which I'm going to make the most use of with all of our young officers there while he's in that role. Couldn't come today because he's in Punta Cana, but he'll be back tomorrow. So we'll introduce him sometime in the near future. The statistics as they are in here do show the foot patrol and school patrol hours, as well as some bicycle and some marine, in addition to our normal patrols. I do have an officer slated in February to go on a snowmobile course. We don't have a lot of need for snowmobile patrols here since we don't have the dedicated trails. However, we do have incidents that occur off the beaten path where the snowmobile is handy getting there, and this way we wouldn't have to bring in officers from other detachments to come and respond to those for us. Looking at the large ones, the violent crimes, we were very lucky at last year with what is written there as 0 murders. We do have 1 homicide that we are investigating from the Park Motel. Although now that I say that, I believe that it occurred in January, so it'll be on this year's stats. Everything else, for the most part, has either stayed the same or gone down, with the exception of the abductions. And I know we spoke briefly about that at our last PSB meeting, but those are primarily what we call home invasions for drug-related debts, where they take the person who owes the money to go and collect the money. So it is technically a kidnapping. However, it's not what you think of when you see abduction, where you think children are getting snatched. That's not what that's reporting. It's more related to our drug subculture, which is a minor part of the population, I should add. Not to the subculture, not our subculture. Our clearance rates, again, remain fairly stagnant. The 25% in property crime is something that we're trying to raise to 30, and it's kind of been an ongoing process trying to get that property crime up. In clearance rates, we actually had fewer mischiefs and theft unders this year. And more stolen cars, so they've kind of leveled out there. Our community street crime unit takes the lead on any of the break-and-enters that occur in the area, as well as the drugs and any properly related crimes that are related to that activity. And we have been able to have a fairly high clearance rate on those larger incidents. However, the little nuisance crimes are less. One thing that I did make a point of looking up was our incidents at Fraser Park with the lights, and actually to Frankfurt Tourist Park, and it was way down this year. So I would love to take credit for that. I have no idea why people weren't in there destroying the lights this year, but it was very nice to see that we didn't spend a lot of time and a lot of the city's money trying to keep those up and running. The pages with all of the gray on it, those are the traffic stats. Of course, the speeding, seatbelts, impaired, and distracted are our largest ones. We do have a number of suspended drivers that we've been taking, we've been ticketing and taking back to court for driving under suspensions. The ALPR, the automatic license plate readers in our cars, has really helped us to identify those drivers. The impaired drivers, of course, is much higher than we would like to see, with a total of 227 people charged with impaired driving. So those are the ones that we apprehended in just 1 year. So that is the bulk of the annual report. If there's any questions on that.
Councillor Neal, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Through you to the commander. On the property crime, this is theft over, is it $5,000?
Yes.
Okay. And have stolen goods, that means you caught people with stolen goods?
Right. So we've caught them with the property, but can't say they were the person who sold the or who stole the property.
So you can still charge them with theft?
Yes. Yeah,
Okay.
if we can prove that they knew it was stolen, then we can charge them with possession of stolen property, but not with the theft itself.
And for the theft over $5,000, is that more like vehicles or trailers or?
Yeah, vehicles, trailers, the odd boat. Any mail also counts in there regardless of the size. Theft of mail is considered a more serious crime, so that includes a lot of the things that are delivered to people's doorsteps and grabbed.
Okay, yep.
Leftovers, what else would be under there? Yeah, power tools and construction sites. Yeah.
Like, I know a lot of houses now are putting video cameras in or security cameras. Are they helping with your investigations more than they used to?
Yes, they are. We automatically, whenever anything happens, do a canvass, and now instead of just asking if people saw things, we ask them what they have for video. Even the Ring doorbells that show the
Yep.
streets, we can get a certain amount. So yes, we certainly use that. Our city cameras give us a lot of surveillance footage. And then we have a program that we run that's called CamSafe, where citizens can sign up and let us know that they have cameras and show them what the views are. So we also can check that, and if something happens in an hour where it's inconvenient to be knocking on doors, we can see that there's 1 or 2 cameras who have signed up and go right to those people and ask for their videos. So we also have changed to an electronic digital management system where we can send people just a link to their phones and they can upload their video directly to us. So rather than having to exchange different types of video on different different types of drives, we can now just send a link and they can send it right from their videos, their either cameras or phones directly into our management system.
I wasn't aware we could sign up. I know the police have come to my door sometimes for the cameras to check, which I think's great. When you see them at your door, you get a little nervous, but they have been in there and checked, and I think that's great. They're being that proactive to do that too.
Yeah, no, it's pretty much automatic for any incident of significance now.
Thank you.
I'll send you the link so you can sign up your camera.
That'd be awesome.
Great. Anything else? Well, again, I think a lot of people are doing the same thing, putting in security systems, cameras, whatever you want to call them. The only problem we've had with ours is ice.
Yes.
Ice on the lens. That blurs it up a bit, but
Yeah.
otherwise, my son knows who's visiting his mother. So,
The other piece of paper that I put in today is kind of to show you a projection of what the OPP is doing overall to try and increase service to communities. So this is largely a piece of paper that shows how a detachment would score for their time. So everybody in our office has to do a daily activity reporting sheet. And based on that, they say how much time they spent on every different calls, how much time on administration, how much time on general patrol or active foot patrols or school interaction. So the OPP is now looking at the staffing in each detachment, which has been stagnant for many years for the most part, despite the kind of increased complexity of the administration and the court processes and the increased populations in different areas. So they've come up with a very complicated mathematical equation that's been explained to me a dozen times and that I have no idea what it means. But essentially, they've come up with this pie chart that they've put in the shape of a badge for what they expect an average officer's time to be, with 40% on calls for service, 34% with administrative, so that's mostly the court paperwork, but also training time and anything that takes them away from the road. And then proactive patrols, and then a certain amount of community engagement. So they're measuring all of that and then trying to adjust the manning until they reach that division of labor. So in doing that, we are anticipating that over the next 5 years, we will gain approximately 10 officers that will be working on the front line. There'll be a couple specialized kind of roles for some quality control, particularly around domestic violence and sexual assaults, where there'll be some extra training and people who are assisting with those incidents to make sure that the officers who don't have the training are still able to do an appropriate response when they get those calls. And they're making sure that every officer is aware that they have to be engaged in community engagement and community mobilization exercises, which in our community I'm very proud that we do have a lot of that. Some other communities are suffering not having the manpower to be able to do that proactive step. We've been able to maintain it and are quite sufficient in that. But this really shows the officers that that is part of their job, that it's not just a nice to do when you have time, but it's actually expected and builds the community safety and well-being. So a lot of work has gone into that by a lot of very smart people who work for the OPP at General Headquarters. And it is proactive and looking towards the future and looking towards growth, and something that will be reviewed on every 3 year. Every 3 years, they'll review every detachment to make sure that their staffing is appropriate. So that's something that going forward, I think is going to give better delivery from the OPP of services in little areas such as ours. You know, someplace like Aurelia where there's all the different headquarters around, they get a lot of, everybody's looking at everything all the time. Here, unless we point something out, they don't necessarily see it. Now they'll be doing active investigation to make sure that we're appropriately staffed and doing our job properly.
Any comments or questions for Inspector?
Thank you. Inspector Reeve, this is great. I'm glad to see the community engagement and mobilization component in there. So it's not a specialized role, it's everybody's role.
Yes.
And that's good to see because, you know, that's what you said, Your Worship, going to the hockey games and getting the presence out there at significant events and so forth. It just puts the culture where it should be. That's great.
I agree.
Thank you.
I agree. And we're very fortunate because the officers that I see are young, and I'm not being rude or anything, but there's, you know, but many young officers come here because I believe they love to be here and to work with you and have you as their mentors. So, yeah, it's great. And I send the inspector the odd texts, and I'm sure she's sick of reading them, but I do still send them. So this is what I said on Saturday. Good morning, Inspector. We had a great evening, a great crowd, a good game, and a very respectful crowd of hockey fans. Thanks. Appreciate your support. Thanks to all officers involved. Their presence makes a difference. Have a great weekend. And on Saturday night, I sent her another one, or maybe on Sunday. Officers stopped in Frankfurt to see some good hockey, increase their visibility, chat with fans in the mirror. We are truly blessed with great leadership. Thanks. Appreciate your support. You and Jeremy regularly display the professional, I should have said, quality of the Quinte West OPP detachment or the quality of the OPP throughout the province of Ontario. Thanks. I just love it. I'm so proud and fortunate. I replied, thanks. And if I did emails, you'd all see them, but I do a text. That's because it's, when it hits me, I do it. I guess I'm like a spiritualist. When the spirit moves me, I get it done, you know. But again, it's great because there are several things that are, as Chuck has indicated, they're where they should be, or they're out there so people know that they're working, and you know, it sets a tone. We sell alcohol at both venues, the Trenton and the Frankfurt. But it's the people are responsible and respectful, and at least I see that they are. I mean, I watch what's going on just because that's me, but they're using it wisely, I think, and it's great to have fans at, I don't know how many in Frankfurt, but there's a fair number there. I don't know, maybe 400 or 500 people, which is great. And I would say we're drawing 1,000 plus in Trenton at the Hawks. So, you know, it's all good, and I can tell by the 50-50. The higher the 50-50, the more fans are there. That's what I look at. So it's, it was in the $2,000 range on Friday night, and I think 400 or 500 in Frankfurt. So it's all good. And that money is, and the Lions Club in Frankfurt are doing a great job. Fantastic. And they're really, really pleased to be there and happy to you know, try to meet the needs of all the people that love hot dogs and kids that love junk and all that stuff. So anyways, again, I thank you very much. And as I say, I love to see them, and I think they enjoy being here and working with you and doing the job and learning. So Al's got a lot to take with him. He's got a big shoulder to carry here, and but I'm sure he will do it well, and that's the most important. So again, anybody else? Councilor O'Neill, go ahead.
Thank you. I see the city security cameras got us some free advertising. When you and I were in Toronto last week at a conference, we were on the city news.
Yeah.
And I think that's great that it caught that. When I watched the video, there's one guy there that I would take it easy on. He stopped them from smashing the window. He tried to clean up. I don't know, but I was glad to see that in national news too.
We had actually set that video aside for if we didn't identify them to put it out. We aren't allowed to do it immediately. We have to wait and see if we have the other means. But the business owner released that. So it was good advertising for us and kind of shows some of the ridiculous things that happen out there. But that wasn't OPP led. The store owner did not file a complaint. Decided that he felt like they had tried to rectify the issue.
We have a memorandum of understanding. I don't see any reason. Do we need a motion for that, Josh, to carry on with the memorandum?
Sorry, which memorandum are you referring to, Mr. Mayor?
Computers?
Yeah, we need to approve the agreement for another 4-year term.
Okay, so we need a motion to move and continue with the 4-year term.
I have a question on it.
Oh, sure, go ahead.
Through you to the commander. The yearly rate for a computer, would it be cheaper just to buy a computer, or do we have to rent a computer from the OPP?
We have to rent the computer through the OPP. It has specialized software on it. That computer is used exclusively for us to do fingerprints for the RCMP databases, and it has to be something that's has all the security firewalls installed and is monitored and set up by the OPP.
Okay, thank you.
So we need a mover and a seconder to Ted and Chuck. I think I already did that, but to make sure, I guess. Any other comments or questions? All in favor? Good, thank you. We have a letter from the Legion thanking us for being involved there, and that's great. Again, we're glad to be there. So, anything else under new business or anything?
Mr. Mayor, can I just get a motion to receive all the correspondence if there's no further discussion on it?
Okay. Motion to Sheila moves, seconded by Ted. Receive all correspondence. Comments or questions on correspondence? No? All in favor? Carried, thank you. Okay. Anything else that you got? I don't have anything else on my agenda, so. Okay, I think we need to adjourn.
New business?
Okay, anything under new business? Go ahead.
Okay. I was just a question, I don't know if it's to the inspector or not, but coming back from Ottawa, I noticed in Ottawa, a lot of the stoplights had cameras recording if you run stoplights. And on our walks, I talked to the crossing guard, who's a friend of ours, and there's a lot at Farley that just run through that red light continuous, like it's like beyond anything I've ever seen. And she said it's scary. So I'm just thinking, as the city contemplated recording folks that run red lights when there's, you know, you can't be everywhere. And I was just thinking, you know, that's an example of a location that would be a prolific address, that if you talk to the folks that do it every day, that they run, and it's happened every day, that they just run the red lights. I mean, not orange, red. And that's coming from me, who is the world's worst driver.
Through you, Your Worship. Yeah, the process for installing either red light cameras or speed cameras, it falls under municipal responsibility.
Okay.
And it's actually outside of the policing jurisdiction. And I know that Chris Angelo has done a couple studies on the feasibility for it and different companies that offer that. But it's not actually something that, if it ever comes through, we can certainly give a few intersections where they'd be very useful, but it's outside of my purview.
Okay, no, I'm just, it would be something to reflect the council.
We'll likely get a report from Chris. I haven't seen anything. Councilor O'Neill?
Thank you. Through you to the commander. If we put red light cameras in, who gets the fines? Is it the OPP or the city?
The city. The OPP does not collect any money for ourselves. There is an administrative cost, though, which is where the information that Chris has been, because you have to do the tickets, do a brief to follow the tickets, put it through court for anybody who can test the ticket, and then collect those funds. So there is a whole infrastructure behind it. So I'm not positive that it's actually going to make you any money.
Could be safer.
Oh, it would definitely be a deterrent to be safer, but it's not a money maker. Like people who think that they're going to make money if they have those cameras, the infrastructure to support that system legally is going to take the money that you get from the fines.
Anything else under new business? Anything else? Anything else you need, Mr.? No? Okay, so we can adjourn, and thank you very much. And when Al gets, we'll have a kind of like a get-together at some restaurant in town, just to say thank you very much and wish you well. So we'll set something up later on. Okay. Okay.
It's actually Inspector Dave Tuvell, who used to be here. Yes, yeah, he's in Lennox and Addington now. I'm following him around the region, so. He is indeed taller than me, yes.
Well, I know Prince Edward County is pleased with the work that's being done there, and so I know I speak to Mayor Ferguson once in a while, and he's pleased with the service that's being provided there. We're more than pleased here with our service, and I know they've just recently started negotiations with possibly increase in salary, so that'll maybe affect our budget in the future, but we've done well, very well. And again, thank you very much. And be careful your words.
I know.
Yeah, I know what you say. Okay, well, I think we can adjourn. I get pick 2 for adjournment. We're ready. Thank you very much.